What is crack-a-lackin', everybody? Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to be here with you this fine Tuesday. It's an exciting day. I don't know if there's any basketball fans out there, but the first thing I saw was LeBron James' second decision. And I'm like, okay, this guy's retiring. But then if you haven't seen it, go check it out. You're going to have the biggest eye roll of your life. But I bring that energy here and I come bearing good news. No matter where you're tuning in from, welcome to ThumbstopLive. We are live every Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. Eastern. And we're bringing everybody that you know and love from our community to get a peek behind the curtain to understand what's going on. So whether you're on LinkedIn, I know my LinkedIn family's out there, the YouTube Live side of things, hey, and of course our Instagram people, what's up? And then on the Twitter and X side, I'm excited for this chat. We're going to be welcoming Dylan to the stage. So Dylan is from Heatmap. He has some of the best energy that I've ever felt through a screen. So I'm excited for you all to get that exact same experience I did just in the back room. So without further ado, I'd love to welcome Dylan to the stage. Round of applause, please.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the party, my friend. It's so good to see you. How are you?
Likewise, all is good. Can't complain.
Nice. I think the first thing is I always have to say congratulations. You just got married. You had an insane wedding, an amazing honeymoon. I'm so happy for you too, man. I'm so happy for you too.
Yeah, I'm blessed. I moved to Brooklyn maybe 5 years and 2 weeks ago, and 5 years, 1 week and 4 days ago, I had met my fiance, or my wife. Yeah, I'm still not even getting over it. I keep saying fiance.
Are you used to wearing the ring? Like, I feel like that was the first thing that tripped me out.
I just got it started. I call it my gear. So like I said to my wife, Katie, I'm like, yeah, you've had gear for like 3 years. Like for me, like I wear rings sometimes, like on multiple fingers, but yeah, like the gear is nice.
Yes. I found myself playing with it a ton. And we were talking for everyone off screen. We were talking a little bit about honeymoons, and then Dylan had a chance to take off for a little bit. Dylan, I think the first thing I am curious about. So I also had a chance to go on like a pretty sick honeymoon to Japan for, I think it was 25 days or something, like literally pieced out. What I am curious about is like we took a year break in between planning the wedding and then going on the actual honeymoon. For yourself, how was it going from like wedding into honeymoon immediately?
I love it. Nice. Heck yeah. So it was awesome. So first off, like I started my first business at 17, like as a freshman in college. So I've never taken off 3 weeks in my entire life. So that was wild. But I actually won $500 from my team. I'm very happy to say. They're like, Dylan, you're too obsessed. There was an over under on how many times I would check Slack. And I said, everyone, I will give you 5-1 odds. You bet $100, and their number was I'll check it 5 times. So I gave them 5-1 odds, and 5 people took the bet. So like I would have been out for $2,500 if I checked Slack 5 times. Not once, mofos. So I literally, from my team members, took $100 from each of them. Like, here's my Venmo. I'm a betting man. I took it. So that was fun. It was awesome to disconnect. I come back, explore the depths of the human soul, your now found wife or husband, partner, and it was beautiful. It was amazing.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. And honestly, that's a win-win for everyone. I'm sure they're happy to pay you the 100. Like, this guy just got to take off a little bit. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Stop working a little.
Yeah, 100%. I did come back with a giant Google Doc of like thoughts, but I didn't message them.
That is good thinking time though. Like that's where it's like the strategy really comes to life. So I love that. Less execution, more strategy.
Yeah, there's a book called Thinking Time, which is actually how to structure your like straight up thinking time, which is like everyone goes and walks and things like that, but there are actual tactics on how to maximize your thinking time. And even if you take an hour a day, whether it's in your 9 to 5, whether it's outside of those 9 to 5 hours, that's an amazing book. Like I'll quote like 20 books as we talk here, because it's like I always say I'm not smart, I just read a lot. So like book recs are my love language to anyone watching.
I freaking love it. Okay, I want to talk about that in a second, and there's so many other things I want to get into too. But for the audience who might not be as familiar with you, I don't know how, but if you're living under a rock, can we start nice and easy with a quick like, tell us about yourself, business-wise, professionally. We've gotten some sneak peeks, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, happy to. I'm a lifelong ecom nerd through the bull markets and bear markets of ecom. So I'm a ride or die in this space. So I've started my first ecom store at 17, 18 years old. Like, so started in college. Everyone was drop shipping in my, my friend circle. So I did too. And I was like, first day, I asked my parents for $1,000 just like to float me a little bit. And I got 3.8x ROAS on my first day from watching a couple YouTube videos. So I was like, let's go. Those days aren't here anymore, but you can still get that. It's just a lot harder, So started it then. I sold the first one before I graduated college, which, is my nice first little 6-figure exit, which, a couple hundred grand to a, 20-year-old is life changing. I always had an agency because after that I moved from drop shipping to like an actual brand. So like I had to order inventory, buy 50 grand, sell it, buy 100 grand, sell it, buy 250,000, sell it. And just like, I was always afraid of debt, which was, now I love debt. So it's like interesting on that front. But I had done that, sold that one a little bit after I graduated, maybe 22, 23. That was my first 7-figure exit, which was really nice. But I've always had an agency throughout where I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be like chunking in a bunch of money and, slowly getting it back and chunking out a whole bunch. So I was like, let's always have an agency. So I even had Fortune 500 customers as clients because like I was able to show all the results that I got. So I was able to just show them and be like, hey, I can do this for you. So that was always nice that I always had my steady stream of cash flow. I'm still always bullish on service companies. Like they're never going to go away, So that's what I always did. And I'd sold that one. I was just a little one where I, merged with a larger company. And then between then I had 4 failed exits where I lost pretty much all my money. One was I was trying to make an energy drink in 2015. So I didn't know supply chain and I lost 400 grand on that one. I tweet about that one a lot. Tried making another one where I only lost a lot in retrospect, but less than that. So it's like everyone talks about all these like amazing giant ventures, giant things they sold, but like if you don't have any failures under your belt, you're probably like less victorious in that regard. So it's like you learn what not to do, and then it becomes pretty easy that like if it breaks one of those rules that kind of fucked you in the past, then like you don't do it anymore. So eventually move on. One of my tactics always that like, SEO is always one of my like little secret tactics that I did. Like no one in drop shipping was doing SEO back in the day. So like my MER was always way more effective and I still do it till today. We get customers in heatmap.com all the time, my current company. And because I had always like split tested at the same time, like shout out to Ezra Firestone on, Zipify and all that kind of stuff. Love you, Ezra. I doubt you're watching this, but,
I'm having Ezra on in a couple weeks, so he's going to be joining too.
Yeah, I was going to send an intro with you if you didn't, but he's an amazing human. He's getting an early copy of the book, which is fun. But yeah, then I was always doing CRO and I started split testing for hire. I didn't really know of anyone else doing it at the time. Like the whole CRO space was kind of like a, landing page focused kind of thing, but I started split testing for the whole site. And it grew into splittesting.com once I had rebranded, which a lot of you guys may know. That was my first 8-figure exit that I'd moved to. So after that, I started heatmap.com. Like I had always seen heat maps. I'm like, okay, I could see where all these clicks are, but do those people go on to buy? Do those people bounce? Like what's going on? So that's why I built heatmap.com. We're the only ones that tie revenue to every single interaction on a website. So if someone's scrolling down, do they buy more? If someone clicks your navigation versus your hero button, do they buy more? So we tie revenue to every single element on the site. It's kind of one of those things where I'm like, how come no one's done this before? And I found out, I don't know how New York I could be in my wording, but it's really effing hard. Like that's the reason why no one's done it before. This tech is like, my dev team is rocket scientists. They're amazing. So
I love it.
How I got to where we are now, and I was able to download my brain and put it into a bunch of AI based on data that people get on the platform. So it kind of just tells you what to do. So I'm blessed. I'm grateful. Raised money, first time in VC. I can talk about it forever, but I've kind of touched every side of business, to be honest. That's like, I started early. So I'm just blessed that I have even gotten the chance this far.
Yeah, Dylan, I just read one of your tweets earlier that was talking about like people just getting started and like the different stages of life. So it paints the picture for me perfectly. I do want to wind all the way back to even when you started your first business in college, but even before that, I'm just curious, like, have you always had an entrepreneurial spirit to you? And was that demonstrated before even the business you started in college?
Yep. So came from a family of immigrants and my family always hustled. I was on food stamps as like an early kid before I can remember. My parents were, and they had rose in the ranks. My mom was actually like one of 10 women in the country that owned a bank.
Shout
She
out to
started a
mom,
small
man. Shout
mortgage
out to
bank.
mom.
Like, shout out to Mama. She's a freaking queen. I adore her. She's like one of my most trusted advisors, where she's like, this stuff's beyond me, Dylan. Like, you've grown past what I did, but like, here's my thoughts. But she's amazing. So I played tennis in college, so tennis is a huge interest area of mine, and I taught tennis when I was a little kid. Like, I was 12 years old, and my coach is like, if you want to pay it forward, now you got to teach 4-year-olds how to swing a racket. It was not the most fun, but what I had done from there is if I'm being honest, my first business really was at 14. I started babysitting, and I lived like the area over from a really like rich neighborhood. Like, I wasn't in that rich neighborhood. I was like one over from there. So as I was teaching tennis, like the kids loved me, and they're like, oh, like, the parents would ask if I babysat, and I'd be like, yeah, for sure. And I had a tweet that went viral on LinkedIn, and I got ripped apart for it. But it's a real story. Like, everyone was like, "This is a lie. This is stupid." I'm like, "Okay, like, f yourself, guy. That's dumb." So, like, my dad, I was like, "Dad, like, what do I charge?" And like, usually, like, all my friends get $10 an hour. My dad goes, "You're gonna do $100 an hour." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Look, your clientele are really wealthy people, but you're gonna make a money back guarantee." Unless they're like going to the hospital level, if you guys get to go out for dinner, go do your date night, and I don't call you once, I get $100 an hour. And whether they were kicking me in the genitalia or the kids were being terrible, no matter what, I would make sure I did not call those parents, because then it was $10 if I had to call. And that's kind of how I started. And eventually, like, all the people in the wealthy neighborhood started, giving me babysitting gigs. And then eventually, like, I had like a little text message list, kind of like a OG, like, email list. And I'd be like, hey, everyone, here's the dates I'm available. Who can reply first? And whoever replied first, I got. So every month I'd always like had my babysitting gigs lined up. And then eventually they're like, hey, do you know anyone? And then I had some friends, and I would get to be like, split it with you guys, because you would get $10 an hour. You'll get 50 if you do it with me. So I kind of like had a couple families that like sit in. So that's like when I started my first like real entrepreneurial thing. And I'm Jewish. I was born, I had my bar mitzvah at 13. And my parents, after that, like, the philosophy is like, you become a man at that point. Granted, a lot different nowadays, but back in the ancient days, you did.
Yep.
It's kind of the tradition that goes on. And my parents said, you have no more allowance. You now have to go make your own money. So I taught the kids tennis, and I babysat, but made me put up a little poster in my temple saying available for babysitting. And that's kind of how the whole thing started. That, yeah, my parents, although not uber wealthy whatsoever by any stretch of the imagination, taught me this entrepreneurial spirit. So TLDR, yeah, I'm blessed to be born into the family I was born into, and they trained me. I give credit to them, not myself.
Hustlers, man. That is so incredible. I guess something I'm curious about is like, that was really your first business. You've done all of these things now. As you've navigated, have you had a clear path in mind where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, jump to service, then figure out like what a D2C brand could look like, then jump over here? Or what has that process been like for you?
So I have the absolute opposite opinion and mindset of like pretty much any entrepreneur I've ever met. My mentors have told me differently. Like, some of my team members don't always love it. VCs for sure don't love it. I did raise $5 million for Heatmap. Like, it actually worked really fast and quick. Like, I've never raised money before. So like, that was a new one. I've always been a bootstrapper. But my POV is, what do I need to do today? I know directionally, kinda in a fuzzy way, what I'm trying to do, but it's really knowing me as a person, like what I want. And I hate goals. So the two things that I do that are pretty contrarian, I hate goals. I hate targets. Like, especially a money goal. I feel like people screw themselves over if they have a financial goal, and that's like their motivating factor, because once you hit it, like, life is unfulfilling afterwards. So direction instead of goals is one thing. But number two, it's like, I don't have, like, all the investors are like, what's a 3-year target for you? I'm like, I don't know. They're like, well, what do you want this company to look like in 3 years? I don't know. Like, humans make plans and God laughs is like one of my favorite, quotes ever. So I just look at, what can I do today? What can my team do today to get us closer? Then tomorrow, take a guess. I'm going to say, what can we do tomorrow? But not today. Tomorrow, we will decide what we can do that day. It's like, what is right in front of us that will get us right now? Action. It's like a very big priority towards action. And maybe sometimes it's inefficient, but there's people that have made a heck ton more than me and a heck ton less than me. But that's just how I operate, which is like, what can I go do right now that's going to be really useful? And that's what I've instilled in a lot of my team members, and seem to do well thus far. So, could be more, could be less, but I'm very happy, dude. And, I'm blessed. So that's just my contrarian POVs on running companies. I don't know. That's just kind of how I operate.
Man, I actually really love it. And I feel like I feel the same way about a lot of these things. It's like the inputs and then the course correction. Like you're really just trying to learn as fast as possible to make decisions and then
Do
operate
stuff
off
and
of that
pivot.
world.
Do stuff and pivot.
Exactly. But the part that I'm interested in double clicking into is like specifically with your team. Because for you, it's like it's easy to embody. And if you are the one executing every single day, like you can live that. But I found, no, actually, let me not apply my own personality. But in your world, when you are working with your team, have you found that it's easy to bring everyone up to speed to where you're thinking? Or did you find that like there's certain people who just need that target, need that number to be able to go get it?
So, how do I kind of encapsulate that one? Every human is a unique wallflower. And like for anyone to say differently is, lying to themselves. It's not a fit for everyone to work in my companies. Number one, like our first philosophy is no ego amigo. That's like philosophy number one. If anyone gets it, like I have a couple of, cultural pillars that I've brought throughout me, like through all my different companies, the failed ones and the successful ones. Like that's just always been number one is no ego amigo. It's like, come with solutions, not problems. And like I find like the momentum of my previous CMO, Chase Masseni, shout out Chase. You might be watching this, but I don't know if you have him on or not. But
Yeah.
Chase is a legend of the game. I adore that human. And he always told me, he's like, Dylan, like your mindset and how you're feeling like on the soul level is like kind of like what pushes forward or behind the org. And as people watch me operate, I don't hold anyone to a standard above what I do. I also don't hold them to my standard either. But when I start like saying, hey, like what's done by Tuesday? What can you get done by Tuesday? And even though that's 2 days, cool, whatever, like they'll tell me like exactly what they're going to get done by Tuesday. Because they set the deadline, then it's not me setting a deadline. They set a deadline, I hold them to it. Then after that, it's like, hey, what's up next, coach? I'm like, well, actually, you're the coach. What are you going to do over the next day that's going to help? And it's like just asking the questions and like setting that culture across all of my companies after all this time is really, I think it's kind of infectious that it's different, that like not a lot of people, like people are like, cool, here's your like, and another one, I've never done an OKR in any of my companies ever, like never once. So like everyone's like, okay, here's like 90 days from now, where do we want to be? And let's back into this whole thing. I'm like, that's BS. Like we know what we need to do this week. Like go do what you got to do this week. So it's like people know that like I'm not backing into those things, and like we're just forwardly progressing and like month over month growing. And I don't know, it's just like how I operate, and by proxy, it's how the team operates. And I found there isn't really a conflict. Like if someone does need to know, like I will give them like a quarterly, but they're like, yeah, what about a year? I'm like, don't even ask me. So I'll give you a quarter, maybe a month, but after that, no, no way.
Oh man, I freaking love it. Something that it makes me think of is just like when people set quarterly objectives with the OKRs, a lot of the times it's like a heavy hierarchy in the org. And it's just like, I'm not going to talk to you in a while, but it sounds like you've really shortened the feedback loop. Like no matter what, you're going to see what's going on and be able to have the dialogue that you need to adjust,
So it sounds crazy, but I almost feel like we don't need to make the concerted effort for a feedback loop. Everyone knows what they're working on. They know what projects are up right now. They know what project is next, like once they finish this one, but it just doesn't require the type of feedback loop effort that I find those quarterlies do. It's just, what are you working on now? Like we know, like especially in our roadmap and like SaaS, like we know our next features, and like in agency, it's much simpler. Like in ecom brand, it's much simpler. That like, yeah, we could have like, here's this goal, and we're gonna back in. We need this CAC. It's like, Okay, like if you're in an ecom brand, you're either scaling on, trying to keep the same CAC at a higher volume, or you're trying to lower your CAC so you can scale. What do we have by a quarterly target? Aren't you working on that every single day? So it's like, I don't need to tell you guys, like, and the other thing that I also give is a lot of freedom, that as long as they know the mentality, like I am a funny thing on me as a founder, like you really have to know yourself, kind of like bottom of funnel, top of funnel, I guess. But like up here in leadership, I'm very strong. I'm a very strong leader. I'm also a very good individual contributor. I'll go into Figma. I can go and code. I can go and do I can go write copy very well. Like I can do all these individual contributor tasks. But this management area of like the middle, I am piss poor. Like it just doesn't work with me. I'm either going to be up your butt micromanaging you all the time, or I tend to go a little too hands off, which is why I go for like A plus talent. I don't look for A talent. I only look for A plus talent. So that's kind of, I guess, the culture plus, who you bring on and like how you look at it is like, I guess, what's made the companies work. But it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't call it an art form. I wouldn't call it a science. It's kind of like vibes at some point. Like if someone
Yeah,
needs
man.
extra help, you just kind of go for it.
Yeah, man. Oh, okay. This is incredible. Now, something I want to get your take on here is like you've navigated different businesses really well up until this point. One of the pieces that of feedback or like guidance that our generation will get is like follow your passion, find your passion, work in your passion. Some variation of that. Want to get your take on if that's advice that you agree with or any other opinions you have.
So a facet of it is true. So there's a big concept of work versus play. In work versus play, like you have a job. It's like whether it's 9 to 5 or you're doing whatever, or some of my team members work founder hours because they're passionate about it and they trust the journey. So the way that I always interview is I'm like, here's the kind of like area. What's your favorite? So like I always ask, what's your superpower that you're better at than anyone else in the world? And it could be so specific. And often I love when that answer is outside of work. Like they say, I'm like a top 10 in the world at playing Zelda. Like those are my favorite answers that I love. So I look for those people that like, it's then after the superpower, cool. I kind of know what they're good at. Now, what's your favorite thing to do at work? What is like so much fun, even if it's Zelda? Like what is so much fun that like you can't believe that you get paid for it? And that's play. Work, maybe you have to enter spreadsheets, maybe you got to go jump on calls that you don't fully want to do, but being able to make the ratio as high of play as possible versus work. And that's the way in which I hire, which is if someone's skill set is really strong and it's exactly what I need, but they're going to be working all day, you need some play. You need some things at work to look forward to, that it's not just about follow your passion. So fun fact, I was a full-time songwriter for a couple of years. I've written a couple Billboard top hundreds, like, in different genres. But so like I come from that mentality where like people think that is all pleasure, but like, oh my God, that's actually getting to like some of the, top writing rooms in Warner. Like that was harder than any e-commerce thing that I've ever done by a long shot. It was way harder. So it's like the funny thing is being on the other side of being a full-time creative, not a UX designer, not a designer, like that's, partially creative, not, it's still business. Being as a songwriter, the play turns into work once there's enough of it. So that's why I think the whole concept of follow your passion is bullshit, because your passion turns into pure work and no play. So it's like I kind of agree with it to a degree, but only done in the right way.
Damn, Dylan. There's two things in there. The first thing is the pipeline of like some area of musician or music to D2C needs to be freaking studied. So I've talked to so many people at this point. Andrew Foxwell used to be when he was in college, used to be in a freestyle hip hop group. Yeah, you heard about this. So David Herman, A&R, Jess Bachman, underground DJ, Connor McDonald was literally in a band. You freaking songwriter, like what the hell, man? This is insane.
I'm still in a band now. I'm a big Deadhead. I love jam band music, so like I still do jam a lot.
Yo, that is incredible. I freaking love it. I freaking love it. And then the other follow-up question that I have here, that one's more of just like a side tangent, but the one that I'm curious for you is like that matrix that you have. What is it for you? Like, what do you consider to be the work side and what is it on the play end?
Oh, brother. So I have a very, very, very deep understanding. Like I call myself a borderline data scientist. Like I, go and code Python, call it query our databases.
Yep.
So like I do a lot of data science, which is like why CRO has always been so appealing to me. But then also going to the creative side of like, consumer psychology. I have a book coming out, which like, kind of ties the two together. Like this actually might be the first time I'm like formally showing the book cover, which is fun. But you heard it and saw it here first, ladies and gents. But yeah, it's for me, I love like I feel like I'm an ethical hacker. Like I love just like figuring it out, like going so deep in the data, just figuring it out, like all the way to SEO. Like you're trying to play and figure out what Google's algorithm is and reverse engineer it. Now on all the LLMs, like actually on heatmap.com, we have great traffic coming from LLMs that are turning into sales calls and turning into like customers. So that's been like my big nerd moment. But like I've been really loving that. As long as I'm not managing the other team members directly, I adore their souls. They're beautiful humans. I'm just not great on that day to day. I love being an individual contributor. Like everyone's like, you should go work at a bigger company. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be hands on enough. So like, I just love getting down and dirty in the data and just like cracking the code. That's just like
Mm.
fun part for me, that it even goes to ads and email and all that type of stuff that like I get to look like, okay, so like email number 4 is in the funnel, is in like the flow is working really well. Why is this working well? And the other thing about CRO, people think CRO is just about the website, but it's actually everything. If you hit a winning split test on your headline, go put that in your ads, go put that in your email headlines, go make your SEO content there. So like people think split tests are just for the sake of split tests. Shout out to McCoy, the CMO of Portland Leather Goods. They were a customer of mine in the agency. And I've never seen anyone so aggressively. He would bring on media buyers and email marketing team members, and the decks that I would send them of the split test updates, he would circulate to his whole team. They would take that intel and execute it and like, integrate it into the other areas of marketing. So a little bit of a tangent, but that's kind of like, just the whole thing. I like hacking algorithms. It's fun for me.
I freaking love it, man. Do you get to flex any of that same like itch that you're scratching there with any of your personal activities? I'm thinking tennis or anything like that.
Yeah, like to be honest, so like all my fellow like D1 tennis players, they're way more athletic than me.
Mm.
But I get in the head. If their backhand is a little bit less, I'm just gonna hammer their backhand until they get really frustrated, and then go to the forehand for the winner. So like I was always mentally very strong, like at like analyzing the situation. Like the human experience is always very interesting to me. Beyond the algorithms, it's like the human soul, the fifth dimensional, and then go to the algorithms on the third dimensional. That's kind of mine. So like yeah, that's something that always does it for me. Music as well. Like I just freeform jam, whether it's jazz or it's like jazz, not as much, but like jam band music. Like I'm a deadhead. Like I love it. So like I still jam. So like those other things outside like really helped me a ton. And it's like just the full escape, right? Like the work-life balance. I actually think it's more like making sure your head's not always in it. That's like the thing.
Mm.
Like you can work tons of hours, and burnout also happens not because of working many hours. Like me doing overnighters, I still do them sometimes, but I'm so jazzed up by what I'm working on. It's not because it's play, right? Going back to work versus play. The more play you get to do at work, you're not going to burn out, even if you're working 15-hour days. So being able to like gear it towards play, I think that like these activities for me like pull me out, that like it's in the play ratio, whether it's at work or not. So I think those help me tremendously for not burning out, because I
Yeah.
love them as well, and making sure I can focus on as much play as possible.
Man, I really love the framework. I actually want to get your opinion on because like my own definition of passion has been evolving over time.
Tell
Because I
me, tell me, it's not one way here.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Because like passion, at least in the traditional sense, when it's spoken amongst like at least my peers, it starts being either like a tangible thing or a certain domain. So for me, I played basketball pretty competitively up until my first year of college. So like all I was doing was this, and then I stopped playing. I'm like 6'1" on a good day, super skinny. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this. But at that point, it's like an identity conversation. It's like this is all I've known up until this point. It's like, who am I at that point? And then as time has gone on, I've kind of peeled back the layers to be able to say, well, what was it about basketball that I actually enjoyed? And things pop up like teamwork, competitive environments, solving new problems every day, getting better fast, essentially. And like what I started to realize was like those things are actually, to use your definitions, feel like they're diving into the play element, because those things seem fun. Like I actually really enjoy those situations. And what I found is I'm no longer limited to a certain industry, a certain domain, or whatever it might be. I get to take those four things and like experience them, whether I'm like, I don't know, going to therapy and trying to work on myself, or like just playing a board game at the end of the day. So
100%.
something freeing in that process, but curious to get your take. I feel like they're very intertwined in what you had described.
So I jump on some podcasts. Some people want to hear it, some don't, but it sounds like you're definitely more of this way. So I lived on a commune in San Diego, full communal living, open doors, everything, full communal living. I worked with a lot of energy healers, shamans, all that type of stuff, and understanding your fifth dimensional soul versus your like third dimensional meat suit, right? Like they're two different things. It's like, kind of the way in which you do. So like diving into like what your soul really enjoys, which for you get lit up by competition, you get lit up by teamwork, you get lit up by these different things that if you know the like foundational layer, you can kind of apply it to any situation. Like I'm sure I'll take something random. I would doubt you're passionate about data entry. But if you're in an office with 4 people and you guys are all like working towards a specific goal, like, or well, not necessarily goal, but direction, right? Like you guys are all like putting on countdown timers and like working together and like, no, you got this one. Thank you. I got this one. Like you toss it together and it's competitive and it's fun. Like knowing who you are on the deepest or on the more like deep level versus like career level. That's when I'm interviewing. That's what I always want to find out. Like what motivates this person? Because I can't force someone to get motivated. You can't force yourself to like things, except for coffee, good acquired taste. But other than that, like it's you really need to know yourself very well. And like that's what I always try to judge. So if you know yourself, you know what motivates you and you know what environments you thrive in. And like a lot of people, something that I've struggled recently with is hiring the incorrect people, where being an early stage startup, man, it's a grind. If you're not like on top of it, like sheesh, doesn't work out, like that's tough. So like people who thrive in that mentality, in that like it is a mentality of just like, hey guys, you're going to be hired for this role that's never been here before. There are no SOPs. You're going to have to talk to every single person on the team and like figure it out. Some people get lit up by that. Some people that scares them away and they're like, I don't think this is the right place for me. So it's like by knowing yourself deeper, that's what creates really successful career, really beautiful relationships, really beautiful health, good, like the good everything. That's just what leads as the foundation. If you don't have that foundation, everything else gets harder.
Man, there's a couple of things that pop up for me here. It's you had referenced it in the book. That's like taking time to think, essentially. And one of the big things about thinking is it like grants you clarity. And then once you have clarity, it's then easier to communicate through that process. Yeah. So I guess what I'm curious about are twofold. It's like, first of all, if we're speaking to audience members who like struggle to gain clarity, it's like, what advice would you have for them? And then it's like, for anyone who is able to get clarity, what are the mental models they can follow just on an ongoing basis to be able to make that easier for them?
Clarity. Okay, cool. So number one, I was talking about like fuck goals.
Yeah.
No goals, but direction. At least that's works for me. And like I've given the advice to a lot of people and they seem to find their own balance where they put less emphasis on goals. Some people cut them out completely. The way that like I like to work backwards, maybe it's my engineering brain of like figuring out the algorithm and then like working backwards from there. It's like, Evan, what's one thing that you don't like doing? Tell me. Quick.
What do I not like doing? I like a lot of things. I can use data entry. It feels like a cop out, but
there you go.
Data entry.
So make sure that like whatever you're doing, like data entry is not as much of a part of it. Don't get spoiled in doing what you want and don't. There's still going to be some work, as much play as possible, but there's still going to be work. And if you don't have clarity in life necessarily, think of all the things that you don't want to do. I've learned so much more by figuring out like what I hate, what I dislike, what's not going to work for me. And eventually it's like, cool, okay, there's like these like 4 things that I can go and do. Like, especially if I'm going to start a new company. It's like, I hate all these things. These aren't working. This isn't it. This isn't it. This isn't it. Just go towards like one of those things that like you have the best chance of like getting that clarity and direction that you want. Like, what do you care about? What don't you care about? Like, not a pro con list, but another one that I highly recommend. So I wrote my first book. I'm actually already like noodling on the second one. The second one is actually about the relationship that humans have with money, because I feel that like you do need money to live to a certain point, right? So money gets intertwined and money is very measurable. So a lot of people over measure on money, right? So my second book, tentative title of A Letter to Money. So
Mm.
is, I'm assuming you journal, like you mentioned therapy, like you journal a lot.
I'm more of a meditator than anything. So it's like reminding
Okay,
to show
cool.
self-love, but not as
So
much.
so do yourself a solid, not even me. If you do any journal entries, do one. I do it twice a year. So at the start of Q1 and Q3. You make a journal entry and write "Dear Money," and you literally write the letter to money. Money, we've had an interesting relationship. Growing up, I didn't have as much. Like lately, we had this. I got a giant. We came a lot deeper when I sold my company. And you just literally write the letter to money, and you will very quickly deviate away from money. But you dive so deep into these things, and that's really what a lot of the book's going to be about. Ultimately, like talking a year and a half from now, but like that's one of the things I preach about a lot, which is getting that relationship to money together is another thing that's like underlying. But once you have a good relationship with money, whether you have a heck ton of it or you got none of it, usually works itself out.
Yeah, super freeing at that point. It's so interesting because one of the things I've always thought about with money, but curious to get your perspective on, it's like uh, if you don't have any of it, you're taught to want it, and you got to go get it. And then if you're lucky enough to have the privilege of making that happen and then creating it, then you realize it's not really like everything that's cut out that we're told. But the other thing I'm curious about is like if you've never had that chance to experience it though, how do you build that strong relationship or understanding relationship? Let's call it.
So first one I'll give, and so I'll give one, which is I'll tell you guys personally, I'm blessed to have some nice exits. Having a lot of money, just like, you know how when people get really drunk, they're just really themselves? Money does the same. Money just makes you more of who you are. If you're miserable, a lot of money is just going to make you more miserable. Actually, it sounds ridiculous. Maybe if you're like really broken behind on bills, like it'll allow a certain amount. But if you're making ends meet and you're like at least comfortable in that regard, having a heck ton of money is, it's just going to make you more who you are. If you're a happy-go-lucky kind of person, you're a free spirit, you're a traveler, you know, you have that type of soul, you're going to feel a lot more of that. So that's why I always say work on yourself first and like really make sure, because if you get this influx of cash, like that's actually why a big reason for almost so many people, if they win the lotto, they lose all of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
because that's kind of how they've been, right? So that's a really big one that I do like to share a lot. One thing that I've been, this is a little bit more of a vulnerable one where, yeah, I can give answers to things, but I'm going to share something that I've actually been struggling with lately. So as someone who's, you know, made a nice amount of money, I don't have the FU money yet. I'll be honest there. So it's like, you know, I'm comfortable for life at the moment. And when you work your face off for 5 years, 16 hours a day, like I don't support hustle culture. Please don't. But like sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you got to do, you got to do. But don't be flashy about it. Don't be posting Instagram pictures at like 3 a.m. They're like, yo, I'm still working. That's bullshit. But you got to do what you got to do. Where is the balance between I earned this money and gratitude for said money? And that's something that I've really been like, not contemplating, but just like diving into. A lot of my journal entries have been in where I like lead with love and like gratitude. Like that's like one of the things I say so much of just like being grateful. Like I speak Spanish, te aprecio means like I appreciate you instead of saying gracias. I mean, I thank you. So it's like, you know, appreciation and gratitude. So where that line sits between like being grateful for something and like, hell yeah, I earned every nickel of that because I wasn't given anything. I started working at 13, 14. So like my parents didn't give me anything. The only gimme that I got, my parents promised me half of college, and I'm blessed for that. But I had to take out loans for the other half. So that, and like my dad gave me his beat down 2004 Honda Pilot. That was, so there's the only two gimmies I've gotten in my life. But like other than that, I earned every freaking nickel, you know? Like so and the car was negative ROI. I had way too much to fix on it. So that was actually like a take, even though I thought it was a give. But that's something that I've been really contemplating, to like those who do have a ton of money, don't have a ton of money. Like that's something that like I'd encourage a lot of people to think on, and like add Dylan Ander, Dylan at dmap.com, Dylan whatever, like, feel free to like message me if you guys have contemplated on the topic. It's something that I find fascinating. That's what I'm writing the book about on the second book.
Man, I really appreciate you being involved in growth. No. I feel like a lot of people are going through that. And one of the things that's like imagery that's popping into my mind is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Because it's just like you are talking about how to get to self-actualization. The one layer that's always harder, well, it's impossible actually. It's like when you don't have basic food, shelter, and like the basics essentially. But after that, the goal is to try and get to self-actualization by knowing yourself, which is, I love that. Like that's really what I'm picking up that you're throwing down in this conversation.
It's kind of like you got to focus on this one up here. Like, of course, food, shelter, safety must happen. But if you like, again, like I said, it's not a goal. Like self-actualization does not become a goal. It is a direction. Yeah. And like, if you ever say, yeah, I'm self-actualized, that means number one, you're pretentious, or number two, you like don't even get it, So like, that's kind of the way I look at it. But it's like, if you're working on these bottom layers, but like you have that direction up here, you can start working on this upper area other than just basic needs. It's like now that we have, fully, what's the word? Information has been democratized 100% through AI going on now, and even the advent of Google back in the day. Like, it's like information is free. So because information is now free, you get to go figure those things out, and you can kind of like trickle downwards, right? To figure out like how to collapse them. Like collapsing time is like, I want to go in this direction, and here's where I am right now. Like, how do I collapse that time? So I find that people who do work on that self-actualization and self-realization, like those people are killing it way more. But like, they're not just killing it like financially, but like in life, in happiness, in relationships, in all those things. Shout out to Sahil Bloom, who wrote the five types of wealth.
Yeah.
Great book if you haven't read it. Like, cannot recommend it enough. And like the way he frames it is that we're all like working on, on growing wealth, but we have the scorecard wrong.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read that book, highly recommend to anyone. It changed my perspective.
Yeah, I've been listening to a bunch of his podcasts recently, or like his tour that he's been doing. And it was so interesting because like, I think a lot of people go through this. It's like you've achieved society's definition of success, whatever that might be, right? But you look at yourself in your mirror and it's like, I should be happy, but it's like something in me is a little bit off. So his conversation in those 5 areas, I feel like is super beneficial for a lot of people, a ton of people.
100%.
Dylan, you've been so great to have on here and so generous with your time. I do have one final question for you that I ask everybody who comes up here about. I'm hoping to clip it together at some point. If you don't have an immediate answer, all good. Toss it to me. I got your back to kick off. The question is, so I'm wondering, do you have a favorite quote? And if so, what is it and why?
Oof. I could rapid fire a couple because I love it. So rules of investing, Warren Buffett. There's 2 rules of investing. Number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. One of the most profound quotes ever. So like that one I love. Bruce Lee of Don't Fear the Man Who, has learned 10,000 types of kicks, but has mastered the same kick 10,000 times. That's another one that I just adore, and really honing in on your craft. Jeff Bezos has a ton. Yeah, there's so many, but those are, I think the Warren Buffett one just like sticks in my head all the time of just like, I don't know, like I also play chess a lot, and like me and my wife, like we have this rule, just like don't fuck it up and you're going to win. So it's like, just don't fuck it up and like, you'll do really well. So like, that's kind of like how I look at it. I'm a very strong entrepreneur, but terrible investor. So I follow rules 1 and 2.
Dylan, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. You have any final words you want to leave with our audience today?
Early to bed, early to rise makes you healthy, wealthy, and wise. And drink a lot of water. All of you drink way less water than you should.
It's so funny just speaking about like non-goals. I've found that setting habits works well. It might just turn into just definitions, but I have different things here. I'm like, I need to remind myself to stretch. If your boy doesn't stretch, my neck gonna hurt. So it's like I gotta make sure I do that every day and see it. And the water thing, always have to have my water up. So I'm listening, man. Hey, there we go. There we go. You're the man. I appreciate you so, so much. Thanks a million. Thanks a million for joining me up here. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks a million and one. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. I'll talk to you real soon. Later.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm so fired up. I'm so fired up. I know you all are too. This has been today's episode of Thumbstop Live, and what a better guest to have. Dylan asked me beforehand. It's like, yo, so what are we talking about? Like, you want me to push like CRO? You want me to talk about different things? I got different options for you. I'm like, yo, I really just want to get to know you. And I feel like that's what I was able to do. And just getting a peek into Dylan's beautiful mind was so much fun. Like, everybody, there's a lot of profound things in there, but a lot of pieces you can walk away with too. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. But like I said, y'all, this has been today's episode of Thumbstop Live. We are live every Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. If you didn't catch us yesterday, we had Connor McDonald from Ridge and Taylor Holiday from CTC on. Today, we had Dylan catch the recording. You know you want to do that. And then tomorrow, we have Andrew Ferris. On Thursday, though, we got Creative Strategy Summit. So come hang with your boy. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun time. You're going to learn all things creative strategy. And we'll get into a little bit more of the tactics rather than this altitude we've been talking about. But everyone, I've sincerely enjoyed your eyes and ears. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. And I'm going to catch y'all tomorrow, okay?